Alright, so it is late where I'm at, so I'm trying to bang out all of the reviews that I have to do before I end up going to the wrestling show that I'm going to. So I'll try and keep them brief, but at the same time, I really want to talk about, the stuff that I am going to see because it deserves to be talked about. But this movie was such an absolute blast, and it really just felt like a comic book come straight to life. And it was just absolutely awesome. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, I did go watch a Creepshow later tonight. And I know that that was a horrible segue, but we're just going to continue on with it anyway because A, I'm tired, and B, I want to try and get this done as right as my AC in my room kicks on. So I'm going to have to talk just that little bit louder. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strong from QuickTime Reactions, and welcome back to Noobs for Horror October, where I, a relative noob in the world of horror, take you down this long and winding road of spooks and scares throughout the month of October. And as soon as I knew that I was coming to St. Louis for a wrestling show, I had to get tickets for this one because I think I'd heard a fair bit about this movie. I hadn't seen it, and boy, am I glad that I got to see it after this. I'm, of course, talking about the 1982 cult classic, I guess you could call it, Creepshow. And the team behind this is absolutely legendary. First off, you have the screenplay, which is written by the one and only Stephen King. And it was directed by George A. Romero. And the guy that did the special effects work on this movie, none other than Mr. Tom Savini as well, which is just absolutely awesome. And that made me so excited to watch this movie. If you do not know what Creepshow, the movie is, it is basically all these horror stories kind of brought together, and there is a nice little opening and closing portion of the movie that kind of brings it all together. But the movie stars Hal Holbrook, Adrian Barbeau, I hope I'm saying her last name correctly, Fritz Weaver, Carrie Nye, E.G. Marshall, Vivica Linfors. Again, I hope I'm saying her name correctly. And also, did not expect him to be in this movie. Also, Leslienielsen as well, which surprised me. So I'm going to break this down into each of its segments. So we're going to start with the kind of the prologue, and I'm also going to talk about the epilogue as well. The prologue, the movie basically starts with a dad reprimanding his son for reading a Creepshow comic, saying, "Why are you reading, this, awful, horrible stuff, about this gore, this violence, and all that stuff," and basically disciplines his son and throws that Creepshow comic into the trash. And after all of the segments are done, we get to the end with basically the dad getting voodooed to death because the trash guys come by, they see the comic, they see that someone had actually taken out the information for the voodoo ad that was in the comic. Sure enough, the kid who got his comic taken away got the voodoo doll and made it into his dad and stabbed him with a needle a whole bunch of times, and that ended up killing the dad. which I thought was a really cool way to kind of introduce the movie, but also a really nice way to wrap it up and kind of tie things together in the end. Our first short is Father's Day, and this tells the story about a family who comes together for Father's Day because their great aunt Bedelia, I hope I'm saying that correctly, she, well, maybe as an accident, but probably intentionally, she killed her own father. And, they always get together and, have some dinner in his honor. But the dad comes back to life seeking cake. He just wants cake. Which I thought was absolutely hysterical. And you just see the dad in his chair smacking, the cane against the chair, and he's just like, I want cake! I want my cake right now! And it was absolutely over the top performance. Absolutely loved it. Loved the dad in that. And the makeup that was on him when he becomes undead, I also thought was really, really cool as well. I think the one thing that I think maybe everyone remembers from this short is, the head cake, where the dad's like, I finally have my cake. And it's, I believe, the mom's head on the platter with, like, the candles sticking out of it. And what I love is that it starts in the comic book, and then it ends, we transition back into the comic book. Which I thought was just a nice kind of framing device throughout the whole movie. We then move on to the lonesome death of Geordie Verrill, which was based off of a story by Stephen King called Weeds. And funny enough, Geordie Verrill is played by none other than Mr. Stephen King himself. And Geordie ends up coming across a meteorite that lands on his property, and he thinks, I can sell this and, get some money and, get some debt off my hands. But he ends up breaking it, pours the ooze that was inside of that meteorite out onto the property, and that just takes hold and just starts growing everywhere, even onto him, where he basically becomes Swamp Thing at the end of the short, and basically gets a gun and just decides, I've had enough. And that's how the short ends, with all this alien vegetation just grown out everywhere. I have to say, Stephen King in this, the only other acting that I've seen him do is in Maximum Overdrive, where he's at the vending machine and he goes, honey, you gotta take a look at this. This machine is calling me an asshole. That's the only other acting that I've seen of his in this. And while I will admit it is very campy, his acting in this, I gotta say though, it fits. It just fits for this movie. It works. Also, I do have to mention when Geordie goes back into his house, he turns on the TV, and what is he watching? He's watching wrestling. He's watching some old school WWF stuff. He was watching one of the Samoans. I think it might have been Sika versus Bob Backlund, which probably would have been for the WWF Championship, I would assume. Anyway, but man, it's hard to pick a favorite one out of all of these. I think the next one though is my favorite, which is Something to Tide You Over. And it tells the story of Harry and Becky Wentworth. They are a newlywed couple, but Becky's father, Richard Vickers, is a very, very cold individual, and has basically taken Harry and Becky to his beach house, his very isolated beach house, and has basically buried them basically neck deep in sand, and is just waiting for the tide to take them out. But what he doesn't know is that spirits do indeed have unfinished business when they die. The absolutely amazing thing about this is that Richard is played by leslienielsen, which I only know him because of like his parody movie stuff that he's done, more specifically Naked Gun. But I know that he was a very, well, and there goes my AC. Now I don't have to talk as loud. I know that he is a very well-regarded dramatic actor, but I think everyone just knows him for his comedy stuff. Um, so seeing him be like cold and calculating in this was definitely very refreshing, and I love I love this concept for I guess you would call him a serial killer, where he just takes him to a beach, buries him neck deep in sand, and just waits for the tide to take him out. Like that's simple, but it's also very I would say very effective. And I also love the fact that, it is the 80s. He has to lug out a TV, a VCR player to show Harry what's going on with his wife. And of course, Harry and Becky catch up to him, all, dead, covered in seaweed and all this stuff. And they take Richard back to that beach, bury him neck deep in sand, and give him a taste of his own medicine to end out that short. This one's probably my favorite one out of the bunch, just because I really like the idea. I really like the premise of this, and I just had a blast with it when seeing it in the theater. Moving on to The Crate. And this tells the story of Mike, who is a janitor at a college. Um, and he basically does kind of all the cleanup during the summer semester when, all the students are gone. But underneath a set of stairs, there is a crate, and it's marked with a very old date. And so the big mystery is what is in that crate, and why is it leading to so many people disappearing? Um, so there is a nice little bit of intrigue, of mystery with this one, like what's in the crate, what's in the crate. And I do like the reveal, because it says it's from Antarctica and it's from like the 1800s, I want to say. Yeah, 1834. Um, and it is basically, this big giant yeti creature that has basically, Mike's taken him down to this section, and just basically feeding the monster so he can, appease it. Also, one of the characters in this, um, when he's with Dexter. Dexter is played by an actor that I've actually noticed. He is in one of, if not one of, I think my favorite episode of the Twilight Zone. He is, I don't know what I can't remember what his title is. Judge, adjudicator in The Obsolete Man. So seeing him here, I was like, hey, I recognize you. So that was really cool to see. Uh, Again, I really like the premise of this one, and it also ends with that Yeti breaking out of the crate. So if they were, I haven't seen Creepshow 2 or Creepshow 3 or even the TV show that I think recently came out. I think, what was it, like late 2010s when that Creepshow TV came out. So I don't know if this gets followed up on in like later installments. But if they were to continue it, I would love to see that. And then the final one was They're Creeping Up on You. And it tells the story of Upson Pratt, who is a very, very jerkwad millionaire who also is a very big germaphobe. And he's currently dealing with a cockroach problem. But as soon as one is dead, two more come up and basically take its place. This is basically his Hydra. And so, slowly but surely, as more cockroaches come into his apartment, the more he is driven to madness. I really like the production design of this short. Basically, having his apartment be just sterile white so that, you can clearly and definitely see the cockroaches just littered about everywhere towards the tail end of this short, which I thought was that was a really, really good decision on their part. I also just love the fact that, he wears gloves to touch keys. He puts paper towels into like this little like vacuum container, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. And he's very, very self aware about, germs. He does not want to touch a single thing. This is basically, the basically an extreme version of what Howie Mandel is, because I know Howie doesn't like germs. Like, this is taking it to the nth degree with it. But towards the tail end, when you just see all of those roaches in that one room, God, that is a really cool visual. It's such a good visual and a really good way to bookend that short. And yeah, that basically wraps up all the shorts. I talked about the wraparound one. But yeah, I had a fun time with this. I really liked the style of it. It really felt like a comic book come to life in this. I thought Romero did a really good job of doing a good job of directing it and making it like be basically a comic book to come to life. I thought King did a really good job, especially with some of the stories that he helmed. Like I said, he did Lonesome Death of Georgie Verrill, but he also did The Crate, which was inspired by a story by him. So that was also really good as well. But yeah, this is just absolute fun. This is just fun all around. If you have not had the chance to watch Creepshow, I definitely recommend that you watch it this Halloween season because it is camp, but it is that fun type of camp that you just don't want to leave from. It is an absolute blast, and I highly recommend you watch it. But what did you guys think of Creepshow? Let me know down in the comments below, and also tell me what was your favorite segment in that movie. But I think that's pretty much it for me, guys. Be safe out there, and if you ever see a meteorite land on your property, maybe don't touch it at all, or better yet, don't crack it open to see what's inside, because you don't know if like there's some like alien stuff in there that'll basically start growing and just take over your whole entire property. So I don't want that on anybody. So just don't touch alien stuff. Just don't. And I will catch you guys next time.